What if I told you there's a place where bodies aren't buried in the ground or burned to ash, but instead are chopped into pieces and fed to vultures on a mountaintop? Where death isn't hidden behind closed doors, but celebrated in the open sky as flesh-eating birds descend from the clouds. This isn't a horror story, this is Tibet, and this is Jator, the sky burial, one of the most shocking and sacred funeral traditions still practiced on Earth today. Picture this scene. High in the Himalayan mountains, before dawn breaks, a family carries the body of their loved one up a rocky slope. They're not heading to a cemetery or crematorium. They're heading to a designated platform on the mountainside, a place marked by scattered bones bleached white by the sun. As the first light hits the peaks, specialized ritual masters called Rogyapas arrive. These are the body breakers, the dissectors, the men who will prepare the corpse for its final journey. They aren't doctors or morticians. They're considered spiritually powerful, but occupy one of the lowest social positions in Tibetan society. The family doesn't stay to watch. They've already said their goodbyes. What happens next is sacred, brutal, and purely functional, all at the same time. The Rogyapas lay the body on the stone platform. Then, using large knives and cleavers, they begin their work. They dismember the corpse methodically, cutting it into manageable pieces. Limbs are separated. The torso is opened. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is feared. This is simply the next step. Then comes the most shocking part. Using heavy mallets and rocks, they pound the flesh and bones together into a pulp. They mix this with barley flour and yak butter, creating a paste. The skull is cracked open. The brain is removed and added to the mixture. Why? Because vultures prefer soft tissue. If you want the body completely consumed, you make their job easier. As the Rogyapas work, the sky darkens, not from clouds, but from wings. Hundreds of vultures circle overhead. These massive birds, some with wingspans reaching 10 feet, have been waiting. They know this place. They know what happens here. Some burial sites process 10 bodies a day. The vultures always come. What follows is a feeding frenzy that lasts anywhere from a few minutes to a few hours. The birds tear into the prepared remains with powerful beaks designed to rip through flesh and crush bone. They fight over pieces. They gorge themselves. The sound is overwhelming. Wings beating, beaks tearing, birds shrieking. The Rogyapas watch carefully. Their job isn't finished until every single piece is consumed. If vultures leave flesh behind, if they're not hungry enough to finish, if only a few birds show up, it's considered a terrible omen. It suggests the deceased lived a sinful life or accumulated bad karma. It means they're destined for a poor rebirth. In places where bodies are offered daily, the vultures sometimes need to be coaxed to eat because they're already full. The Rogyapas perform ritual dances to encourage them. They might even have to break the bones into smaller pieces to make consumption easier. When the birds finally fly away, satisfied and heavy, ideally nothing remains but stains on the stone. The body has been completely returned to nature. The person is truly gone. To understand why Tibetans do this, you need to understand how they view death itself. In Vajrayana Buddhism, which most Tibetans practice, death is not an ending, it's a transition. The body is just a vessel, an empty container that the soul has abandoned. When you die, your consciousness doesn't immediately move to the next life. Instead, you enter what's called the bardo, an intermediate state that lasts 49 days. During this time, your spirit wanders, experiencing visions and illusions based on your karma. Monks chant texts from the Tibetan Book of the Dead to guide the soul through this confusing journey toward its next rebirth. But what about the body left behind? It serves no purpose anymore. It's just meat and bone. So why not use it for something meaningful? This is where the concept of final generosity comes in. Offering your body as food to other living creatures is considered the ultimate act of compassion. There's a famous Buddhist story about this. In one of Buddha's past lives, he encountered a starving tigress with her cubs, all near death from hunger. Without hesitation, he threw himself off a cliff so they could feast on his flesh, and survive. This story is told to every Tibetan child. It teaches that true compassion means being willing to sacrifice everything, even your own body, to relieve the suffering of others. Sky burial embodies this teaching. You're giving your flesh so vultures can live. You're feeding the hungry. You're participating in the cycle of life, even in death. Vultures themselves are considered sacred in Tibetan culture. They're called dakinis, sky dancers, messengers between earth and heaven. When they consume your body and fly away, they're believed to carry your spirit upward, helping it transition to the next realm. The tradition of sky burial began over 1,000 years ago, though its exact origins are debated. The earliest written record appears in a 12th century Buddhist text that's colloquially known as the Book of the Dead. But the practice likely existed even earlier, possibly dating back 11,000 years based on archaeological evidence. Why did Tibetans develop this particular method? The answer is brutally practical. Tibet sits on a high-altitude plateau, one of the most inhospitable environments on Earth. Most of the land is above the tree line. Wood is incredibly scarce. Cremation, which is the preferred Buddhist funeral method in other regions, requires enormous amounts of fuel. Only high lamas and wealthy nobles could afford it. The ground presents its own challenges. Much of Tibet's soil is rocky, frozen, or just a few centimeters deep before you hit permafrost or solid rock. Digging graves is nearly impossible in many areas. Even if you could dig, burying bodies in the limited fertile soil would be wasteful. Meanwhile, vultures are abundant. The Himalayan ecosystem depends on these scavengers. They clean up carcasses that would otherwise spread disease. They're perfectly adapted to consume carrion. The solution presents itself naturally. If you can't burn the dead and you can't bury them, let nature's cleanup crew handle it. What began as practical necessity became infused with deep spiritual meaning over centuries. The physical act of sky burial merged with Buddhist philosophy until they became inseparable. Today, approximately 80% of Tibetans choose sky burial when they die. Planning a sky burial involves careful preparation and significant expense. When someone dies, monks immediately begin chanting prayers to guide the soul through the bardo. The body is washed and positioned in a seated posture, often for a day or two, while continuous prayer sessions help the spirit detach peacefully from its physical form. The timing of the burial must be auspicious. Families consult monks who read astrological charts to determine the best day. There's one day each month, the 19th, when sky burials don't happen. According to Tibetan Buddhist sutras, this is when divine beings congregate in heaven, and they prefer not to see or smell blood. The family must hire the Ragyapas. These body breakers are essential, but occupy a strange position in Tibetan society. What they do is considered sacred work, yet they're often treated as untouchables. They handle death daily. They break apart human bodies with their bare hands. The work is spiritually powerful, but socially stigmatizing. A skilled Rogyapa can fully process a body in 2 to 3 hours. At major monasteries like Drigung Til, which is the largest sky burial site in Tibet, they handle about 10 bodies per day. It's exhausting, bloody work that never stops. The Rogyapas rest only 1 day per month. Families pay them for their services, though the amounts are often modest. It's understood that this is necessary work that serves the entire community. Someone has to do it. Sky burial sites are located in specific places, usually on mountainsides away from villages. These locations are carefully chosen. They must be accessible to vultures, but distant enough that daily life isn't disturbed. They must have proper drainage and exposure to the elements. The sites themselves are stark and haunting. Stone platforms, sometimes circular, sometimes rectangular, stained dark from years of use. Bones scattered around the perimeter, remains from burials where vultures didn't consume everything. The smell is unmistakable. The energy is heavy. These places are considered sacred charnel grounds in Vajrayana Buddhism. They're spiritually powerful locations where the boundary between life and death is thin. Monks sometimes meditate at these sites to confront their own mortality and develop non-attachment to the physical body. But here's something crucial. Family members are strictly forbidden from attending the actual burial. This isn't like a Western funeral where mourners gather around the grave. Tibetans believe that if family watches the dismemberment and consumption of their loved one's body, it could trap the spirit. The soul might be drawn back by the grief and attachment of those watching, preventing it from moving forward to its next rebirth. So families say goodbye before the body is taken away. They trust the Rogyapas and the vultures to complete the ritual properly. Days later, they might visit the burial site to leave offerings or pray, but they never witness the act itself. Outsiders are also completely banned from observing sky burials. This prohibition is taken extremely seriously. The Tibetan government has made it illegal for tourists or photographers to attend or document these ceremonies. Violators face heavy fines or imprisonment. Why? Because sky burial became a disturbing tourist attraction. As Tibet opened to outsiders in recent decades, some guides began offering to take visitors to witness sky burials. Tourists would show up with cameras, treating the sacred ritual like a spectacle. They'd take photos of dismembered bodies and vultures feeding, then post them online. This caused enormous offense. For Tibetans, sky burial is deeply private and sacred. Having strangers gawk and photograph it is like having tourists film your grandmother's autopsy and put it on social media. It's a violation of everything the ritual represents. The government finally cracked down, establishing strict regulations. Sky burial sites are now off-limits to non-participants. Signs warn that observation and photography are forbidden. Guards sometimes patrol major sites to enforce the rules. The message is clear. This is not entertainment. This is not a cultural show for outsiders. This is how Tibetans honor their dead, and it deserves respect. Sky burial faces serious challenges in the modern world. The most pressing is the declining vulture population. These birds are essential to the ritual, but their numbers are dropping dramatically across Asia. Poisoning from livestock carcasses, habitat loss, and environmental changes have all taken a toll. In some regions, there simply aren't enough vultures anymore. Bodies are left partially consumed, which is spiritually devastating for families and practically problematic for public health. Some areas have had to abandon sky burial sites because vultures no longer come. Disease is another concern. Health officials warn that if someone dies from pneumonic plague, a disease that still appears in Tibet, and their body is processed in a sky burial, the bacteria can spread to those handling the remains and potentially to the vultures themselves. During a major plague outbreak in 2017 that killed over 100 people, officials urged families not to conduct sky burials with plague victims. New regulations require that anyone who dies from plague must be buried in sealed tombs that cannot be reopened. But in remote areas, enforcement is difficult, and traditional beliefs run deep. Religious opposition has also emerged. While the Catholic Church views sky burial as a cultural practice and doesn't object, Protestant evangelical groups that have gained followers in Tibet strongly condemn the tradition. They call it pagan, primitive, and barbaric. Some converts have abandoned sky burial in favor of Christian burial practices. Economic pressures play a role too. Sky burials are expensive. Hiring Rogyapas costs money. Transporting the body to a burial site requires resources. Some families, especially in urban areas, opt for cremation instead because it's cheaper and more convenient. The Chinese government's attitude towards sky burial has been complicated and often hostile. When China took control of Tibet in the 1950s, authorities viewed many Tibetan traditions as backward and superstitious. Sky burial was completely banned during the Cultural Revolution of the 1960s and 70s. Rogyapas were persecuted. Burial sites were destroyed. The ban was never fully enforced in remote areas, partly because sky burial is simply practical in places where no other options exist. But officially, the practice was forbidden for decades. In the 1980s, as China relaxed some restrictions on Tibetan culture, sky burial was quietly permitted again. Today, the government officially allows it, but strongly encourages cremation instead. They've built crematoriums across Tibet and offer incentives for families who choose that option. There are also disturbing reports of Chinese authorities disrupting sky burials or even shooting the vultures. In one documented incident, officials killed vultures at a burial site, claiming the birds posed a public health risk. Tibetans saw it as an attack on their culture. The future of sky burial remains uncertain. The tradition continues, but it's under pressure from multiple directions. Environmental changes, government policies, religious conversion, and modernization all threaten its survival. Despite everything, sky burial endures. At monasteries across Tibet, Rogyalpas still perform their sacred work nearly every day. Vultures still circle overhead. Families still choose this ancient method to honor their dead. For Tibetans, sky burial represents something profound that transcends the shocking visuals. It's about impermanence, the Buddhist teaching that nothing lasts forever. Your body, which you spent your whole life caring for, is just temporary. In death, it becomes food. Flesh returns to flesh. The cycle continues. It's about non-attachment. You can't cling to the physical form. You can't preserve it forever. You must let go completely, trusting in the process of rebirth. It's about compassion. Even in death, you can relieve suffering by feeding hungry creatures. Your final act is one of generosity. It's about equality. Whether you were rich or poor, powerful or powerless, your body receives the same treatment. Vultures don't care about your social status. In death, everyone is reduced to the same essential elements. And it's about accepting death as natural and inevitable. Many cultures hide death away, making it sanitized and distant. Sky burial confronts it directly. Death is messy. Death is physical. Death is part of the natural order. By witnessing their traditions, even if only through description, Tibetans maintain an honest relationship with mortality. Tibet's sky burial tradition challenges everything we think we know about death and how the dead should be treated. For most people, the idea of a loved one being dismembered and fed to birds is horrifying. It violates deeply held beliefs about the sanctity of the body and the importance of intact burial or cremation. But cultural practices don't exist to make outsiders comfortable. They exist because they're meaningful to the people who practice them. What seems shocking from the outside is sacred from the inside. Sky burial reminds us that there's no single right way to honor the dead. Different cultures have developed radically different approaches based on their beliefs, their environment, and their values. What matters isn't the method. What matters is the intention behind it. For Tibetans who choose sky burial, they're not desecrating their loved ones. They're liberating them. They're ensuring that even in death, the person continues to give. They're participating in an ancient tradition that connects them to their ancestors and their land. The vultures will keep circling, the Rogyalpas will keep working, and on mountaintops across Tibet, bodies will keep returning to the sky. One final act of compassion in a world that desperately needs more of it. What do you think about Tibet's sky burial tradition? Could you imagine choosing this for yourself or a loved one? Or does it cross a line that shouldn't be crossed? Let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to explore more shocking cultural traditions from around the world, don't forget to like and subscribe.